They had it all: fame, fortune, and the spotlight. But behind the glitz of Hollywood's golden age lurked a dark, destructive secret: alcohol. These legendary stars didn't just sip, they spiraled, and what they lost will shock you. John Drew Barrymore. John Drew Barrymore was born into Hollywood royalty, the son of the iconic John Barrymore and father of future star Drew Barrymore. Expectations were sky-high, and so was the pressure. In the 1950s and 60s, John Drew had the looks, the charm, and the pedigree to dominate the silver screen. But what he couldn't outrun was the legacy of addiction that haunted his bloodline. Like his father before him, John fell into the grip of alcoholism early in his career. Directors stopped calling. He showed up late, or not at all. Roles vanished, and so did his reputation. His erratic behavior, fueled by years of heavy drinking, turned him from rising star to industry outcast. By the 1970s, he was virtually blacklisted from Hollywood. His final years were spent in obscurity, far from the fame he was born into. A tragic figure, John Drew Barrymore didn't just lose his career, he lost his legacy. His story is a haunting reminder: even the brightest bloodlines can't outshine addiction. Gail Russell. Gail Russell was the picture of innocence, a soft-spoken beauty with haunting eyes that lit up the screen in the 1940s. Discovered by Paramount at just 18, she quickly rose to stardom in films like The Uninvited and Angel and The Bad Man. But behind the camera, Gail was paralyzed by crippling anxiety and extreme shyness. To cope with the demands of fame and the constant pressure to perform, she turned to alcohol. It began as a quiet escape, but soon spiraled into full-blown dependency. Her once promising career stalled as rumors of her drinking spread. She was arrested for DUI, and her appearance changed drastically, shocking fans. Roles dried up. Offers disappeared. Gail tried to make a comeback, but the damage was already done. Her confidence, health, and career were in ruins. In 1961, at just 36 years old, she was found dead in her small Los Angeles apartment. The cause? Alcohol-related liver damage and malnutrition. Gail Russell didn't just fade from fame. She was devoured by the very pressure that once made her a star. Barbara Payton. Barbara Payton was once Hollywood's sultry blonde bombshell, a rising star in the early 1950s known for her seductive beauty and fiery presence on screen. She captivated audiences in Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye alongside James Cagney, and it seemed she was destined for superstardom. But Barbara's off-screen life was pure chaos. A whirlwind of scandal, toxic affairs, and a growing addiction to alcohol quickly overshadowed her talent. Her infamous love triangle with actors Tom Neal and Franket Tone became front-page tabloid drama and ended violently. As her drinking spiraled out of control, studios distanced themselves. Roles stopped coming, and Barbara's glamorous image crumbled. By the late 1950s, she was broke, blacklisted, and battling full-blown alcoholism. She turned to prostitution just to survive. In 1963, at only 39 years old, Barbara died of heart and liver failure, alone and forgotten. Once a shining star, her fall was one of the most tragic in Hollywood history. Barbara Payton didn't just ruin her career. She became a cautionary tale of beauty, fame, and self-destruction. Veronica Lake. Veronica Lake wasn't just a movie star, she was an icon. With her signature peekaboo hairstyle and sultry voice, she defined femme fatale glamour in the 1940s. Hits like This Gun for Hire and The Blue Dahlia made her a household name. But beneath the Hollywood polish was a woman struggling with deep personal demons. Behind closed doors, Lake battled bipolar disorder and a growing dependence on alcohol. Her erratic behavior on set, including missed call times and explosive arguments, made her reputation toxic in the industry. Co-stars avoided her, directors dropped her, and eventually, so did the studios. By the early 1950s, her career was virtually dead. Divorced multiple times and alienated from her children, she was found living in a cheap Manhattan hotel, working as a cocktail waitress to make ends meet. Though she attempted minor comebacks, the damage from years of alcoholism and instability was irreversible. Veronica Lake died in 1973 from hepatitis and kidney failure, just 50 years old. Once Hollywood's golden girl, she became a haunting symbol of how fame can vanish, one drink at a time. Linda Darnell. Linda Darnell was once hailed as the girl with the perfect face, a breathtaking beauty who rose to fame in the 1940s with powerful performances in films like Forever Amber and A Letter to Three Wives. But while audiences adored her, Linda lived in constant turmoil. Pushed into stardom as a teenager, she battled self-doubt, studio manipulation, and personal heartbreak. As her career progressed, the roles became fewer, the spotlight dimmer, and the bottle closer. Alcohol became her coping mechanism, a way to silence the noise and numb the pain of fading fame. Her once glowing image began to erode. She was passed over for major parts, her marriages collapsed, and she struggled financially. Though she attempted comebacks, her addiction always loomed in the background. Tragically, Linda Darnell's life ended in a horrifying house fire in 1965, and reports say she had been drinking heavily the night it happened. She was only 41. From silver screen goddess to a tragic footnote, Linda's life was a devastating reminder of how stardom, when mixed with addiction, can burn out far too soon. Broderick Crawford had the voice, the presence, and the talent to command any room. And he did, winning an Academy Award for his powerhouse role in All the King's Men, 1949. Hollywood hailed him as a gritty, no-nonsense leading man. But behind the scenes, Crawford fought a relentless battle with alcohol that slowly chipped away at his success. His drinking made him unpredictable, aggressive, and difficult to work with. Studios grew wary, and the roles that once came easily began to disappear. While he found a second wind on TV with Highway Patrol, even that couldn't mask his growing dependence on booze. He racked up multiple DUIs and was often hospitalized due to alcohol-related health issues. Crawford's weight ballooned, and his once dominant presence became a shadow of itself. Though he continued to act sporadically, his reputation was never fully restored. By the time of his death in 1986, the man who once held Oscar gold was more remembered for his decline than his triumph. Broderick Crawford's story is a sobering portrait of how addiction can silence even the loudest voice in Hollywood. Tom Conway. Tom Conway had charm, sophistication, and that unmistakable British voice that made him a favorite in 1940s Hollywood. Known for suave roles in films like The Falcon series and Val Lewton's Cat People, he seemed born to play the cultured gentleman. But behind the elegant facade was a man slowly unraveling. Tom, the older brother of actor George Sanders, struggled with alcohol throughout his life, a battle that worsened as the roles dried up. As his drinking escalated, so did the consequences. He became unreliable, difficult to cast, and was eventually blacklisted by many studios. His once smooth performances gave way to slurred lines and missed opportunities. By the 1960s, Conway was destitute, relying on friends and fans to pay his medical bills. His health, wrecked by years of drinking, left him nearly blind and penniless. He died alone in a Los Angeles hospital in 1967, a forgotten figure of a forgotten era. Tom Conway's story is one of silent tragedy, a gentleman on screen, but a prisoner to addiction behind it, his legacy clouded by the very substance that stole everything. Ray Milland. Ray Milland was a distinguished leading man of Hollywood's golden age, known for his suave charm and incredible talent. With a career spanning over 40 years, Milland starred in unforgettable films like The Lost Weekend, for which he won an Oscar, and Dial M for Murder. But beneath the polished exterior, Milland was hiding a growing addiction to alcohol that would ultimately derail his career. After achieving fame, he began to rely on drinking to cope with the pressures of stardom. As his alcoholism deepened, his once stellar performances became overshadowed by erratic behavior on set and off. Hollywood began to distance itself from him, and his roles became fewer and less significant. His personal life was equally troubled, with his marriage facing strain due to his drinking. Though he managed a few later successes, by the 1970s, his career was essentially over. Ray Milland died in 1986, his final years marked by health problems caused by years of alcohol abuse. From Oscar winner to a man lost in the grip of addiction, Milland's fall from grace serves as a poignant reminder of the price of fame and the demons that often accompany it. Spencer Tracy. Spencer Tracy was one of Hollywood's greatest actors, known for his intense performances and powerful screen presence. With a career that spanned decades and included classics like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner and Captain's Courageous, he was considered one of the finest actors of his generation. However, behind his cinematic brilliance was a man wrestling with a debilitating addiction to alcohol. Tracy's alcoholism was well known within the industry, but he skillfully hid it from the public eye for years. His drinking, however, began to affect his professional life. He frequently showed up late or intoxicated on set, making it difficult to work with him. Despite his tumultuous relationship with actress Katharine Hepburn, Tracy remained one of the most respected stars in Hollywood, but the damage alcohol had done to his body was undeniable. By the time of his death in 1967, Tracy had struggled with health issues exacerbated by years of drinking. Spencer Tracy's legacy remains one of talent and triumph, but his battle with alcohol is a somber reminder that even the brightest stars can fall. Alan Ladd. Alan Ladd was a leading man known for his tough guy image, with iconic roles in films like Shane and This Gun for Hire. With his chiseled looks and intense presence, Ladd seemed like the epitome of Hollywood masculinity. But beneath the surface, Ladd was battling a crippling dependence on alcohol that would ultimately overshadow his career. His early years in Hollywood were marked by insecurity and self-doubt, and alcohol became his coping mechanism. His drinking gradually took a toll on his professional life. He became unreliable on set, and his performances grew inconsistent. As his career stalled, Ladd's personal life deteriorated. He had turbulent relationships, and his health began to suffer, largely due to his ongoing battle with alcoholism. By the 1960s, Ladd's star had faded, and his later years were spent in relative obscurity. He passed away in 1964 at just 50 years old from an overdose of alcohol and barbiturates. Alan Ladd's tragic story is a stark reminder of how addiction can ravage even the brightest stars in Hollywood.